Hey guys, welcome to The Logical Latte, a channel dedicated to giving you a jolt of logic within the political sphere. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Georgia. Is it just crazy that we keep finding random memory sticks with votes that weren't recorded on them? Or, is it even crazier that the majority of these votes go to Donald Trump and Donald Trump is netting like 400, 800, I think 1,000 different votes on each of these memory sticks? This is not normal. And if it is a huge problem. The state of Georgia is a Republican state with a Republican governor and Secretary of State. And for right now, 2 Republican senators. So the push to change Georgia has been relentless over the last few years. When you have a state that is seemingly reliable for either party, you get corrupt candidates and corrupt politicians of those parties. So, let's take a look for example, of New Jersey, where Senator Menendez was under incredible scrutiny in 2018. He was under indictment. He had a lot of legal issues. There were a lot of crazy things that were coming out about him during the 2018 election. And there was a moment where we thought maybe he would actually lose his Senate seat. But what happened is he still won re-election. And, he was able to pull it off. And maybe at some point we'll find out how that happened. But as of right now, he did win re-election. Anyway, but back to Georgia. I find it odd that a state that is, has just an unorganized election system where they're finding random memory sticks in drawers or on shelves or in somebody's car or whatever, however they're finding them. But I just find it odd that these votes are always seemingly netting for Donald Trump. So it just seems to be that there are no checks and balances in our different elections in the different states. And so, President Trump had a significant vote lead on election day. And then over the course of the next several days during what we would call election week now, it seemed that more and more votes were going to Biden. And it would just be like random vote dumps just going to Biden. And I find that to be odd as well. And so I know that Donald Trump recently tweeted out a video of a Georgia official randomly looking because he was missing 11 boxes of votes. This should bother everyone. This should bother people who did vote for Donald Trump, and it should bother people who did not vote for Donald Trump. This should bother anyone who wants a free and fair election. And the fact that it seems to not be bothering some people just shows that it's not necessarily about having the freedom of a free and fair election, that it's literally just about ideology, and you don't care how that power comes to pass. So I want to know, since the Republicans run the state, I want to know why they are not screaming at the top of their lungs that they need a real audit and we need to be able to have transparency to have clean and fair elections. I got to say, if Republicans do not wake up and realize what the broader threat here is happening, there will never be another Republican governor, or it will end up where Georgia is a consistent blue state every presidential election. And, the state of Georgia will basically turn into what the state of Virginia is these days. The state of Virginia at one point was a incredibly reliable Republican state. And over the course, I would say over the last 15 to 20 years, it has gone from purple to deep, deep blue. And if Georgia does not wake up, they are going to wake up one day with a Democrat governor who embraces infanticide and gun confiscation. And I think that that should worry people in the state of Georgia, but it should really worry people across the country. And, North Carolina is not too far behind to follow. So what happens is the Democrat Party gets their eyes set on a state. And, they will work their magic to corrupt certain politicians, and they will get their tentacles in, and then they will eventually flip the state, which is what happened to New Mexico, which is what happened to Colorado, which used to be consistently conservative, very pro-gun, a very red state. It's now happening to Arizona and Nevada, and it has happened to Virginia, and now it's happening to Georgia, and soon to be happening to North Carolina and Tennessee. So, these are things that we really need to wake up and realize is an issue. And it doesn't really matter if you're on the left or the right. You should really want your state that you live in to reflect the people that you are around and what you want from that state. And people keep moving to different states to, have a better, tax bracket or whatever. But that's not going to be for long if we don't get the different states under control of, the corruption that's obviously happening. And, as of right now, Stacey Abrams is running the state of Georgia. I hear from her all the time. According to her last week, she said that there were already 600,000 people who were requesting absentee ballots for the runoff elections for the two senators. And I'm sorry, but she's working, and I haven't heard from Brian Kemp once. And that is super, super disappointing, because Brian Kemp would not be the governor of Georgia if it weren't for Donald Trump. And now that Donald Trump needs Brian Kemp to step up and help with this recount and make sure that this is a clear and fair election, he's nowhere to be found. And I have to say, my spidey sense and my little tentacles went up when Brian Kemp went and he appointed a donor to a Senate seat instead of who many people were hoping would be the appointed senator from a vacancy. And most people were, claiming that they really wanted Doug Collins to become the senator, and Brian Kemp did not care. And he just nominated or just, appointed a donor. And, I don't have any feelings towards Kelly Loeffler at all. Actually, I don't really know much about her. I'm assuming she's a pretty fair bet when it comes to where she falls in different votes. But I would hate to see her end up being, a Lindsey Graham or a John McCain type of Republican. So that is something that I feel happens, is we get these senators that are in these reliable, red states, and they end up being, not the most desirable. We have healthcare because of John McCain. We have, don't even get me started about Mitt Romney. So there's just some issues there. But Stacey Abrams, she's running the state, and she'll probably run for governor next time, and she'll probably win, because Brian Kemp is not helping himself at this point with how he's helping run this situation. But let's take a look over here at this this article by Breitbart. So Stacey Abrams, she was, on the Rachel Maddow show as per usual. And she comes out and she says that Trump needs to acknowledge the legal sufficiency of election. Get this, as I did. That is just such a joke. She has still not conceded the 2018 gubernatorial race in Georgia. She actually came out not too long ago in March, and she had said, I did win my election. I just didn't get to have the job. I mean, this is hypocrisy at the highest. I mean, she's over here saying that Trump needs to go ahead and just step on his merry way, but yet she never did that, and she had, you know, lost, and it was certified. This has not been certified for Trump. It has literally just been over 2 weeks. Can we give the guy a little bit of time to go through the legal process? He hasn't had an opportunity to file all his lawsuits, and the court system takes a very long time. It is something that is, not an overnight thing. It is a long drawn out process. And so the fact that people just keep wanting to rush things along, to me, is so annoying, that they just don't want the election to be certified and clear. They just want to be done and go with what has been said in the media so far. And I just find that ridiculous. I mean, that is just absolutely ridiculous. We have to have some clarity for both sides, and I think both sides should want it. So, here we are again. We're in Georgia. We've got a lot of craziness going on, and hopefully we can get it figured out, because it is getting crazy out there. So that's about all I have for this. So go ahead, make sure you like and subscribe, and even share my video so that we can get the word out. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks.